you doing?
We are now joined by Carl Edwards, driver of the number 99 Kellogg's Cheez-It Ford. Carl, you had a victory tour event this week at Stephen Cawthon's horse farm in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about your experience there with the retired Triple Crown winning jockey.
That was actually really fun. It got me excited about the horse race tomorrow. I know a bunch of people from the in the garage are going to drive down there and go watch it. It was really a neat experience. It was a beautiful farm Mr. Cawthon has, and it's pretty interesting. I've never been around any horse racing or anything, but to talk to him and to see in his eyes he's a racer just like us, and to hear him talk about the risks he takes, during horse races and the strategy and stuff. I thought that was pretty fun, and it was really cool. Bruton came out there, and we got to talk a little bit. I didn't know he was telling me he rode bulls when he was a teenager, and that explains a lot to me. I knew there was something he had back there. It was wild, and yeah, so it was really cool. It was a good time. So it's been a good week. We tested a little bit. I just wish we were a little bit faster here today. That we got one practice qualifying run, and I thought it was pretty good until I saw Vickers' time up there, and that's a very impressive lap. So hopefully we're good here in actual qualifying.
All right, we'll now open it up for questions. Please state your name and affiliation.
And I apologize for being late, guys. So it's my fault.
Hi, Carl. Tyler, MRN. We're going to Sonoma here in a couple weeks and road course racing. Describe what you think knockout qualifying will be like trying to get out of the way at road courses.
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. There will be the potential for people to really mess up someone else's lap. But honestly, I just haven't thought about it. I love racing there, and qualifying has been tough. I guess everybody could probably say that they felt like they should have been on the pole if they didn't make this mistake or that mistake. But I really feel like a number of times out there we should have been on the pole if I didn't make a mistake. So it'd be nice to get 2 rounds. We'll get 2 or 3 rounds there. So that'll be nice. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Hopefully we don't get stuck behind someone.
All right, to Mike Hembry and then Claire Lang.
Mike Hembry, USA Today. What was your impression of the tunnel turn with the differences with the curbing gone? And what about the moisture on the track? Could you tell what was happening there?
Yeah, so the tunnel turn now there's less of a penalty for getting in there and misjudging the apex, which is nice because I do that a lot, misjudge the apex. So I'm the master at hitting that curb back there and really messing up my lap. And I notice now if I cross over that line, it's a little more forgiving. So that's good. As far as the moisture, I never saw it. So I'm glad somebody saw it and addressed it, because I've seen some. That's one of those things that if the moisture is just the right way and you hit it the right way and it's in a seam or something, it can really you can lose your car pretty quick. So I'm glad they addressed that. But I never saw it. Even after they told me where it was, I couldn't see it.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. It's really hard to tell where everybody is at right now. Programs were like Roush Fenway is struggling, but then Penske was ahead, but then Penske said they don't want to fall behind because you can do that so easily. Yeah. And Jimmy Johnson and company have a new car, and they're developing to where they really could have been earlier, and now they're feeling better about their equipment.
I think they should feel pretty good.
I would think so after 2 wins. The interesting part
you guys were asking me if I was worried about Jimmy, because he was on this losing streak. I'm worried about him now for the opposite reason.
But my question is about where everyone stacks up right now. Roush Fenway is like, we're trying, we're working. It is really hard to tell, and you're right, after 2 weeks the story has totally changed, which is hysterical when you think about it. He was always going to win. But how do you look at where everyone stacks up in the reference of Roush Fenway, too?
I think, as I look at the leaderboard there, I think that the Stewart-Haas cars, they've been strong, and particularly the 4 car, those guys have just done a great job. Obviously, Jimmy has turned a corner the last couple of weeks. I look at the Ganassi guys; they're running really well. Looks like the Michael Waltrip cars they've been a little bit under the radar this year, but I've seen a lot of speed out of them. The Gibbs camp, I thought they were struggling early on, but it seems like I saw some real speed out of them last week. Our cars, we've basically had the same struggle all year. We're working on addressing that. Fortunately, we have time to fix it, hopefully, before the chase. But I'd say that I'd say there hasn't been a lot of shift in the field, but at the end of the day, now is the time when you have to think about, are we going the right direction performance-wise, or are we going the wrong direction? And so, that's what everybody's got on their mind, is how do we be the best we can so that you crescendo or you peak at Homestead. I mean, that's what you have to do.
Right.
Yes, I feel like that there have been a bunch of moves internally lately that definitely will be changes at Roush Fenway Racing. I mean, Chip Bolin moving on, that's a huge change, and that shows you, like I said when it happened, it shows you the magnitude of. I guess we understand where we're at. We know we have to be faster, and there are big changes trying to address that. Robbie, everybody, Bob Osborne, Jack, everybody's working as hard as we can, and we just have to hope that we work on the right things. We are able to implement the findings and be better. I mean, we've got everything there. We just need this much more speed, and we'd be really good.
We'll go to Dustin, Candace, and wrap up with Nate.
Dustin Long, MRN.com.
What's that?
Hey, I want to ask you about a couple things. The test at Nashville, did that provide any help, or is it still literally spinning wheels? And secondly, in light of the NBA game last night with the people complaining about playing in 90-degree weather, what's the hottest you've ever been in the car, and how did you get through that? What happened?
So the test was positive. I was hoping that we would be better here today in light of one or two things we found, but still a pretty young weekend here. There's some stuff we'd like to try tomorrow. The hottest I don't know the hottest I've been in a car. I think the most shocking, the heat shocked me the most in my first NASCAR stock car race. It was a truck race at Memphis. Mike Mittler let me drive his truck there, and I remember at one point they threw the caution, and I couldn't see what the caution was for, and I thought, well, then I guess, yeah, I'm on fire. They're throwing the caution because my truck is on fire. I mean, it's so hot, and I don't think it's ever gotten any better. It's just that you get used to the heat, and I don't know if there are physiological things that happen or if it's all psychological, but I think as far as heat is concerned, the hottest I've ever been has been in the race cars on some of these hot days. It's usually about plus 40 in the car, and I've learned to enjoy it. It's kind of fun when it gets really hard. It becomes part of the race that you have to overcome. Part of the difficulty. So I look forward to the hot days. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was my first Ricky Bobby moment. But it's hard to describe when you talk about driving these race cars on a hot day, especially if you don't have the seat right and you don't have the blowers in the right place. It's extremely hot. I mean, it's even now, and I don't think of it much anymore, but at Dover, during the race, I was lifting my heels off of the floor down the straightaway just because it's burning your heels, the floorboard is, and you don't think everybody does that all the time, but the first few times you realize, wow, I think my heel's burning. You don't realize everything in the car is that hot, and it's pretty interesting. Those guys back in the day, without the fans and the ducts and the those were some men, and that's tough. It had to be really, really hot.
Candace Smith, drafting the circuits. I'm over here. Hi, Carl.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you? I was curious about two things. First of all, you're proudly wearing your Ford hat, which I love to see.
Yep.
I want to know about your confidence in Ford, and of course, I heard Claire B. ask about Roush Fenway specifically, but I'm asking about your manufacturer now and
Right.
your connection there. Second question, real quickly, is any interest in taking the children to see the quarter midgets here? Because I know that's why I asked Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson. Just curious if it's something you thought you'd do with your children.
So as far as Ford, I'm really proud to represent Ford. I don't think I don't think anybody makes better cars than Ford does. I think they really care about their products. They definitely care about racing. I mean, it's part of their DNA. That's what we talk about. I mean, the company is based on auto racing. And as far as their contribution to NASCAR, it's immense, and it's right now it's yielding really great results from the Penske side. I think as a group we just have to step up our performance at Roush Fenway to to be representative of Ford's contribution. So I'm really proud to drive for Ford, and I think they do a great job. And yeah, as far as quarter midgets and stuff like that, people, you know, I was really fortunate. My parents, you know, they didn't push me into racing at all, but they supported what I wanted to do, and I think it's really cool to see those kids out there having fun and enjoying racing. And yeah, I've seen that track driving over. It looks really neat. So we'll see what happens. Oh, reasonable dinner. Are you catering it or something, or what? All right. Yeah. Cool.
And we'll wrap up with Nate Ryan.
On your right, Carl. Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. Just to follow up on what you were saying about Jimmy, you kind of have a unique perspective on that from 2008. I can remember the head-to-head battle. You guys waged for the championship. I remember at Atlanta, I think in particular, you were kind of like, you got out of your car after winning the race, and he finished second, and you're like, where'd you come from? Thinking back on that. I mean,
yeah, if Denny wasn't such a good driver, he about lost it, and he saved it, and Jimmy ended up finishing second. That was very frustrating. Yeah.
Sorry to bring it up.
That's okay.
But if you could reflect on that, I mean, is there a sense of like maybe an air of inevitability that team is always going to be there? I mean, whereas, you know, maybe outside observers or whatever might be saying, hey, what's wrong with them? They haven't won. You guys in the garage, you guys kind of know that you never count them out, right? I mean, that team's always
no, they've proven they've earned that position. I could sit up here all day and deny that I'm, you know, think that they're good enough to win the championship all the time. But I mean, at the end of the day, they're good enough to win the championship year in and year out. They're basically the only team that's able to do that, to continually operate and perform at that high level. And everyone's aware of it. And I think that's the model. It definitely performance-wise, it's the model of how all of us would like to perform. So it appears that they're doing it again. So it's our jobs to go out there and beat them. And I will say one thing, that if someone does beat them, specifically this year, and while they're you know in this position in their careers, it will make it that much better. I mean, I would be extremely proud to beat them for the championship. That would mean a lot to me.
All right. Thank you
All
for
right.
your time.
Thanks, guys.
Carl, one quick one. Going about with these athletes, race car drivers are not athletes. Have you ever been involved with cramps in a car?
So yeah, I've never really had bad cramps or anything in the race car. And as far as race car drivers being athletes or not, I mean, you don't have to be an athlete to drive a race car. It's the last little bit that you can do as a driver to be the best that you can be. I mean, Casey's standing over there. I don't know, how fast can you run a marathon or half marathon? Pretty fast. I mean, you ran a half marathon the other day. What, you did like 6-minute miles the whole time or something? Yeah, 6:40. So I mean, it was a half marathon, right? Yeah, well, it's pretty good. I mean, I think the marathon got started, the guy finished it and died. So half marathon's pretty good. So anyway, what I'm saying is you got guys like Casey and Jimmy and Trevor just ran, did a triathlon, a shorter one, and I believe it's just part of our sport. I wouldn't say that we're going to go out and beat an NFL team at something, but anybody who doesn't think race car driving is physically taxing has not driven a race car. It's as simple as that. Yep. All right, thanks.